Tonight we begin with a development that Western officials, KU analysts and military insiders had feared, tracked, and tried to anticipate. A Russian offensive that unfolded not over months, but in hours. Hours that forced emergency evacuations, hours that disrupted supply lines, hours that tested NATO readiness. What Russia did today crossed a line that Western governments had hoped would hold. And when that line broke, Ukraine did not hesitate. They responded with speed, precision, and resolve. For weeks now, there had been subtle signals, not official briefings, not formal reports, just satellite images, troop movements, and intercepted communications that Russia was preparing something unusually aggressive. Russia has been unpredictable, yes, but they have been methodical in their unpredictability. Their moves have followed a certain pattern, a cadence, almost a rhythm, but what set off alarm bells in Kyiv and Western capitals this morning was that the pattern went silent. Military analysts who monitor Russian maneuvers know the indicators: the sudden redeployment of elite units, the repositioning of artillery and missile systems, the temporary shutdown of usual communications, the sudden inactivity of drone surveillance. All of that went quiet. And whenever Russia goes quiet, it means something is about to get loud. Early this morning, NATO intelligence detected what they described as a concentrated artillery and missile buildup, including long-range systems that had not been deployed in over 6 months. These are the kinds of assets that Russia only deploys when signaling a major operation. Massed artillery, barrages, drone reconnaissance in multiple directions, tactical missile strikes. Observers didn't know which category this fell into, or whether it fell into all three at once. But they did know that Russia was changing its operational posture. And when a state actor shifts its posture without explanation, even by a small measure, the world pays attention. The warning issued by Ukraine tonight was not normal. It was not routine. It was not symbolic. It was urgent. Officials after emergency meetings described Russia's move as aggressive, coordinated, and, perhaps most importantly, immediately actionable. But warnings only work if the target hesitates. Ukraine did not. In fact, their response today was among the fastest and most precise we've seen in this conflict. Within hours of initial Russian strikes, Ukrainian forces counterattacked key supply hubs, disrupted command and control networks. These weren't the ordinary countermeasures. These were extraordinary precision strikes that Ukraine only deploys when preparing to prevent major territorial advances. Tonight, Ukrainian defense sources confirmed that forces launched targeted counterattacks on Russian armored columns, including a key supply depot that had recently been reinforced for what analysts believe was a forward staging purpose. Ukraine struck before Russia could consolidate. They hit logistics centers, they hit command posts, they hit armored units that were likely preparing to support the offensive. In other words, Ukraine targeted strategic choke points. The artillery that would have made the Russian push operational was neutralized. This is what made Kyiv's warning so urgent. Russia's maneuver wasn't just symbolic, it was actionable. It represented a move that could have shifted control of key territory if left unchecked, and Ukraine, understanding that fully, responded with force. Not recklessly, not impulsively, but strategically. They didn't strike civilian areas, they didn't waste resources, they hit military targets with precision. They hit logistical hubs that mattered. And here's where the story becomes even more intense. Western analysts now believe that Russia's latest move was designed to test the coordination and readiness of Ukrainian forces after recent losses in the east. Russia wanted to see whether Ukraine would hesitate under pressure, but instead, the opposite happened. Ukraine didn't hesitate. They executed a coordinated defense that was so swift, so precise that even Russian commanders noticed. You don't get Russia's attention easily, but today, Ukraine did. Military analysts speaking under anonymity described Russia's shift as opportunistic, a way to probe weaknesses. But Ukraine proved today that they remain both agile and disciplined. Their actions were not only timely, they were precise to the point that key Russian advances were halted before they could form. That matters because it shows Ukraine's growing capability and readiness. It shows that Ukraine is not passive. They are actively shaping the battlefield.